group is read the article on the Beatles. And then the cards are color-coded for you, so there won't be any confusion as far as mixing up the cards. The first thing you want to do in yellow is to, based on summarization, pick the best title for the article, the one that best summarizes the story. In green is the vocabulary from the article. In all caps, in case the cards get mixed up, are all of the words. And then in regular print are the definitions. There are more definitions than there are words, so you're going to have to pick the right definition and discard or put off to the side the wrong definition. In blue is fact versus opinion. You're going to read the pieces from the article and decide if that was a statement that is an opinion or a statement that is a fact. Okay? In red is the last one, and that is inferring. All the definitions of these are up here, but remember, inferring is reading between the lines. You're given a little bit of information, and you can figure out what they're really talking about or what's really going on.
John Lennon and the Harrison. Yeah, go on. John Lennon, Paul McCartney doing What is it?
Oh, that's
You guys are about halfway through. Centers are timed. They have 10 minutes to complete the task. So you heard me say you. In the back corner is figurative language. We've been going over figurative language with Tuck Everlasting, similes, metaphors, and personification. These, again, are all quotes from Tuck Everlasting. You are going to categorize them into simile, metaphor, and personification. And when I come over to grade you, you'll tell me which category I'm looking at. There are no title cards. You have to categorize them yourself.
No, this is the overview showing you what happened.
All right, stop. All right, here we go.
Of course, during centers, sometimes the students will, kind of get off task, but that's normal anyway. Besides which, it allows them to kind of walk around, get it out of their system, and then within a few seconds, a little bit of redirection, they get right back to the work that's at hand. The best thing about centers, though, is even when that happens, because they're in small groups, because they're separated from each other, because they have a task that they have to finish within 10 minutes or whatever amount of time that you set for each group, they eventually redirect themselves. And it also doesn't distract the entire class. Typically, whatever work they don't get done, it only affects their group. The other groups are able to continue working, and the instructor or the teacher doesn't need to, stop everything.
They had a basketball game. They didn't dress up for centers. Or basketball coach.
All right, as students complete a center, a score goes onto a score sheet, and their total score becomes the score in the grade book. And scores are based on basically competition. So the highest score becomes the grade in the grade book, and everyone else is compared against that because that's what they are able to accomplish. It's a total score, not a center by center. That also helps with giving answers to another group, because if you give the answers to another group, then you basically have lowered your own. You'll see how invested the
It's being counted. This is probably the last group that needs to be counted for this set.
Oh, right there. Sorry. Good job.
As you can see, the students are usually very invested in how well they do in a center. So even though they may appear to be not as structured, they care more about what's happening. It counts, as a teacher counts, the students are able to give feedback as well. They're able to say, wait, I thought this was the answer, or I thought this was it.
Okay, there we go.
Told you!
simulating what? So they're saying dissimulating, so we think they're behaving. They're not, or they're trying to do what the process is. Yes, exactly right.
Okay, so we got that right.
Yeah, so you had it almost, actually, no. These words are so similar. So these are the three. Okay, so you have the immediately from contempt and ridicule, what do you think would actually be? This is an adverb, so you can speak vehemently. Right. So that would go with the forcefulness, therefore the original authority. Once students finish a center, they typically are tasked with mixing up all the answers again, so that when the next group comes, the answers aren't just waiting for them. So the teacher doesn't have to go around and resort all the centers, him or herself.
45 points. Nice job. All right.
Rotate counterclockwise. You're going to go this way. I am the fan. You're going this way. Go. Rotate.
I know that there are activities where kids move and you turn on the music, but that was just for the video.
When you're grading one group, what are the other groups doing?
Typically, they're still finishing.
But a lot of times,
A perfect day. They have 10 minutes, and a perfect day would be. I know that center is going to take about 7 minutes. That center is going to take about 8 minutes, and really, they get 5 behavior points per center. And I tell them that's 25 points in a day. If I have to say, go back to your group, knock it off, you lose a point.
You lose a point, exactly.
You lose another point. And that becomes, they start to police each other in the group. But typically they just stay where they're supposed to be. Yeah. And it's something you set up that expectation, you give those directions. We do centers very, very, very early on in the year. And the activities are like match the cartoon character up with the show. Things that we know they're going to know the answer, just so that we can show them this is what we're doing. This is the structure. This is what we expect from you.
The ideal thing is we do have a lot of interns who come in. We will give a key to an intern and put them at the center, and they'll grade it. And so, literally, it is such a student-centered classroom because everything is done. They're working together on their own, and then they're being checked very quickly. They get the immediate feedback, and it's easy for us at that point. But creating the centers is the work. It's the hard place. And what did we see? Kids. They take ownership of their learning. They're so proud of how they do on assessments and things like that. They enjoy it, and they really buy into our instruction. Increased time on task. All levels of learners are engaged, regardless of where they are on the spectrum. You
can't not be. If you're in a group of 2 or 3 people and you're not doing anything, you will hear them say, knock it off, come on, read this, do this. Right. We can't complete this in 10 minutes if we are not all doing something. It happens, yeah.
How do students make up centers if they're at center?
Then it does become paper pencil work.
Okay.
Well, a lot of these skills are based on those coach books, and so we give them a paper pencil activity. But we repeat skills so often that it really isn't hurting them a lot because they're going to see that skill again and again and again.
If you have a habitual absenteeism, if that's the problem, it does become paper pencil. If you happen to do centers and Joey is absent today and he's not usually absent, I will excuse him from that activity. Just have that EX in the grade book and no harm, no foul. But I have had students that are absent again and again, and they just end up having to practice those skills paper pencil.
It doesn't affect their group score?
No, because every time we do centers, one of the first things we do is you pick 5 people, and it's just schoolyard pick. I want her on my team, and the next person I want her on my team. Then whoever gets first place, whoever scored the highest, the next time we do centers, I keep all those grade sheets. That group gets split up into 5 new teams. So you're not having this dominant team every single time. If they know that if they get first place, they're broken up the next time. And the cushion of that is if you get first place, you also get 5-point bonus on your grade. Second place is 4-point bonus, that kind of thing.
Real quick though, we don't always group that way. Like we, especially in classes where you have a lot of special ed kids, like you saw two different dynamics. There were a few special education kids in the smaller group. When you saw that large group, that class was a very interesting class because we had a lot of middle, high level learners, gifted student, almost our entire gifted population was in that class, and then